So there's a few things we have to get out of the way. First of all, we have to certify you guys. Are you indeed Bryan Legend's family members? That's the number one question.
So yeah, we are Bryan Siler's family. Obviously, he changed his name to Legend. So yes, I am indeed his aunt, Irene, born Siler, now Hayes.
Look at the lovely Rini with her lovely blouse, like amazing.
Yeah, look at that's little Bryan. That's little Bryan.
So I'm not sure what's the link that Onchain Crypto is trying to bring with Bryan's family to the Safuu protocol. So we will take a look and see what happens after.
Also, just to clarify that we...
Oh my goodness, look at this dude. He still had hair. That hairline was like still alive.
I don't know if I'm skilled enough.
I mean, if there's one person that can certify that Bryan has a, how do you call this, a little situation, it's definitely Irene. But Irene, you don't have to answer this. I mean, the internet can speculate all they want. We have some more serious things to talk about today, so we'll have to jump, okay? So I said yesterday when I was talking to Bryan, I told him that I spoke to you. And the first thing that he did was like, what's the name of my aunt? Right? That's the first thing that he did, like a reflex. Like he almost did not believe that I was telling him that I had an interview with you. Can you confirm that we had a previous interview?
We did have a conversation and we were waiting for you to do the live stream at a later date.
Okay, perfect. So now that we've handled these little situations, currently we have 144 people and people in the cryptocurrency space. They like to pretend that you can systematically ask people for their money, for their hard-earned money, and then hide behind a veil of, oh, I'm anonymous. Oh, I don't want people to know who I am. It's like, guys, listen, let me put you on game, all right? The part of the reason why the crypto is the Wild Wild West is because we allow these people to be anonymous. And also, when they do go and expose themselves, we don't give them consequences for bad behavior. This is also part of the reason why Bryan Saylor turned Bryan King Legend is able to still be among us, pushing all these projects. Now, I've said yesterday in my live stream with Bryan that it's important that we know someone's past if they're out here asking people for money. Because their past is telling of their character, it's telling of their past behavior. And this is how, when Bryan mentioned his family, because I told him, I was like, what would your family say about you? And he went on to, assassinate your character behind your back and say you would only be a crazy person, like he has a crazy auntie that would be jealous of him, so we're not around. What we're going to find out now is what is there to be said about Bryan? And
so I guess Onchain Crypto is true in saying that if he's going to be the leader of a certain project or CEO, he has to be a reliable character. I think that's true for most of the companies, even if they're going to hire a CEO.
It's not like a witch hunt type situation. We're just trying to understand his behavior, the pattern of behavior of this person. All right, so let's get all the way back in the past when Bryan was just a little kid, right? So we already know your relationship with Bryan, but the question is this: how did Bryan become what he is today? Like, what were the initial patterns that were being picked up as a little boy? Like, what were the signs? So take it away for us, Irene.
All right, so I guess we start with that he was, his biological mother passed away when he was 2 years old. He was then adopted by, basically everyone in the family, felt sorry for poor Bryan, didn't have a mum, didn't have a dad, in a sense, because I was young at the time, because my parents obviously were a bit older. I like that colour. Oh, would you like a blue bike? Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to skip through a lot of this backstory on how Bryan was adopted by his aunts. I don't think there's any relevance to it. But what I want to find out is what the aunts has got to say about Bryan and why is it so important that Onchain Crypto has to interview his aunts and what's the relevance here. There's some relevance to Bryan's character, but I don't think it's so important to get a family member to try to bring down the Safuu protocol. I just want to see what's the link here.
Of course, off we went, bought whatever he wanted. He never appreciated anything. He never looked after anything. He didn't, have friends, couldn't make friends really, even at school. So he was a bit of a loner. And, it was just one of those things. I don't know if it was because, the way he was brought up and spoilt, but he was just always, everything he wanted, he had.
So basically that you would say that's the original sin there that's going to build the character of the man. So meaning because he was overly protected due to the fact that there was a tragedy around him, people felt overprotective of him, therefore gave him everything he wanted because he was kind of like, it's almost like a survivor's guilt type situation. Could we call it that?
Yeah, I guess, and because he never really had to ask or want for anything, it just was handed to him on a platter, no matter what it was. Yeah. All
right. So then, because you put this child, this young brain that's being formed in society, you expose him to, I can get anything that I want. Anytime, everything that I get, I can always one-up it. I can always get a little bit better, right? So that first thing is never good enough. So the blue bike, the red bike, if I want this toy, no, now it's that toy that's in season. So he keeps getting in the habit of immediate reward, immediate satisfaction. Is it fair to say that this kind of behavior of always expecting immediate reward and immediate satisfaction and no consequences for his bad behavior? Like, actually, let me ask this. On the one side, yes, you're giving him everything that he wants, so he's getting spoiled. But how about when there's when he exhibits bad behavior? What are the consequences there? Were there a lack of consequences?
There was none. It was never Bryan's fault, no matter what happened. If he had a fight at school, that was always the other children. There was never consequences. I mean, I can't remember a time when he was, in those days, smacking was still a thing. Obviously now it's not. He was never ever,
I guess Onchain Crypto is trying to make a very far connection of how Bryan's character as a young child is giving him this trait, not being able to accept responsibility for the failed projects. I think it's quite a far off leap to link such a thing. You can always make links from someone's past to their current action and rationalize it in a certain ways. There's always a possibility there. It's just a play of words and a play of character, how you see a certain individual in a different view. So I don't think it's fair to bring up something like that from so long ago as to the how Bryan was as a child. I think if Onchain Crypto is looking at the past project and he interviews people that Bryan worked with, I think that's more reasonable. But to go back to his childhood is a bit of a stretch, I think. Even though Onchain Crypto is trying to rationalize it, but it's still a massive stretch to link Safuu's possible demise that Onchain Crypto likes to proclaim.
Can I just say, though, that in the conversations that I've had with Rini about Bryan, it's never been an attack on him. She's always mentioned that, it must have been tough for him to live without a mother, to have grandparents as parents, to have, I think, like you're saying, it's really important that we emphasize that. But we don't want people to think that Rini is, all this speculation to who Rini is. We're here for this reason, to ensure that people understand the caring nature that she has, and that she's not here to assassinate him. We just want you to understand, I guess, and everyone to understand that we're here to try and help people understand the narrative of why this has come about.
Yeah.
We're not here to discredit his personality and who he is, but there needs to be some sort of that people understand the caring nature that she has, and that she's not here to assassinate him. We just want you to understand, I guess, and everyone to understand that we're here to try and help people understand the narrative of why this has come about.
I think that's weird that they say the family members say that they're not trying to assassinate Bryan's character when the whole point of Onchain Crypto was to assassinate Bryan's character in the previous debate or the interview that Onchain Crypto had with Bryan. The whole point of him bringing on the aunts was to assassinate Bryan's character and to discredit his character based on his childhood and how he interacted with his family members, and therefore by causation he's going to be causing the failure or demise of Safuu, right? That's the whole point, that why he's bringing on the aunts. So for the aunts and the family to say that they're not trying to assassinate Bryan's character by coming onto Onchain is quite absurd and ridiculous. Like they are saying that they're trying to let people know about Bryan, but why are they saying all these negative things that's family matters about Bryan, right? Aren't they supposed to be private things?
So many people are going to have many storylines that they gravitate towards. Some are going to say, oh, that's the reason why everybody should be anonymous, because look, now his family is being exposed. This is how we got to that conversation. Because guess what? There's a bunch of bodies that he left behind. A bunch of people he hurt, maybe in his personal life or in his previous project. Now what we're seeing is the inside story of who Bryan really is. Now the question you have to ask yourself is this. The person who's completely abandoning the mother figure, right, that he was so willing to create a petty party around, saying, oh, how my mother has dementia. If the real story is that he's completely willing to abandon this person, how are we supposed to trust that he's not going to completely abandon you when this project goes to zero? Pattern recognition, people. This should not be complicated. You think this person really cares about you because you've been in a Discord with him for 3 months? These people have known him for 50 years. And you're going to find a way to blame them or blame me for the fact that Bryan is a garbage of a human being? How? How are we to blame for his garbage behavior? Anyways, these are all questions that mature human beings should be asking themselves. And if you're mad at the fact that people are trying to hold Bryan to a higher standard because he's asking for your hard-earned dollars, if that makes you mad, you need to look into the mirror. That's just a fact. So listen, Irene.
Yeah, I guess Onchain Crypto has a point that we should definitely always question and see who's holding our money and who's representing the project. I think this is a fair point, but I think so far, if Bryan haven't done anything wrong for the Safuu project, he's doing a marketing role, trying to hype up the project and trying to bring in new investors, then there's nothing wrong with that. Because eventually, I think us in the DeFi space, we know the DeFi space, there's always a kind of Ponzi-nomics to it. They're paying out the current investors with new investors' money. It's always going to be in some way, shape or form in the DeFi space right now. I think Onchain Crypto is trying to attack this premise. When we invest in this DeFi space, we know this is how it goes. Maybe for newer people that come into the DeFi space, they wouldn't know this fact. But for us that we've been here for almost 1 or 2 years, we know that for most of the DeFi projects is who comes in earlier is going to make money, and the people that comes in later, they're going to have to get lucky, or something different is going to have to change, or the project direction is going to be changed, or something that is going to have to drive the project up to give the newer investors some form of return. Yeah, so overall, I'm watching how Bryan is addressing this. I don't know whether it's even worth Safuu's time or even our time watching all this drama of the family, Onchain Crypto and all this drama, when they could put their effort into trying to make the project better, trying to bring in new investors. Yeah, so I think this whole family drama and this so-called bullshit with the family just doesn't create anything productive for anyone, right? And I think, honestly, I don't really care what the family says about Bryan. I think what really matters is how Bryan drives the Safuu project, than to go and dig into the family and personal matters of Bryan. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think about this whole family drama and this family bullshit in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.